Just like to say a big thanks for everyone attending for today's webinar, where we'll be finding out more about Volunteer Impact, the Enterprise Edition, where volunteers are managed by organisations that have, multiple departments or locations, and if this is the right fit for your organisation. So, just a little bit about me as your host. So, I'm Daniel Green. I am the software sales advisor here at Better Impact. We support small to enterprise sized organisations across UK, Europe, and Africa exploring our software solutions. You can probably tell from my accent already, but I am born and raised in Essex, UK. I have been with Better Impact for just over 4 years. That's a little bit dated. It's probably more coming up to 5 years now. But during this time, it's been a real pleasure, helping and supporting people to achieve their goals, which is something, I'm really, really passionate about. So just some of the benefits listed on your screen that you'll be taking from today's webinar, which includes common problems facing volunteer service teams, why the right software tools matter, the standard versus the enterprise edition explained in detail. We'll also include a high-level overview of Volunteer Impact, the enterprise edition, and stick around to the end because we will be sharing a few resources and a link to obtain your PDU certificate for attending today. If you're not too sure what a PDU certificate is, it's a professional development unit, sometimes also referred to as a CEC, which is a continued education credit. So stick around to the end and I'll share that link and you can obtain that certificate. Okay, so just some of the problems that you may come across in your daily routines, which may even have led you to today's webinar. These could include, too much data entry, having that daunting feeling of filling out forms or spreadsheets, whether it's for personal user information or for reporting purposes. Using disconnected tools across your organizations, departments, or locations, not having that all-in-one stop shop for your needs or having a streamlined platform to manage all this, which ultimately leads me on to not having enough time to lead and engage with your volunteers, which, as you know, can lead to a breakdown of communications and perhaps lack of interactions. Finding affordable tools leadership will approve. So we all know that everyone has a budget, right? And there are some affordable tools out there. And sometimes you may have to consider what this is costing your company in lack of software, in which hopefully you can bring to the table for your leadership to approve. And then lastly, having insufficient security for your confidential volunteer data. Well, hopefully, being that Better Impact offers this all-in-one solution to manage volunteers and knowing that your data is safe and secure, hopefully we do have the solution. Okay, so going on about the data security, protecting your volunteers' data. So how can you tell if a VMS vendor prioritizes data protection? One easy way is to look for the ISO certification. ISO 27001 is the world's best known standard for information security management systems. ISO certification means that the VMS vendor respects all the best practices and principles enshrined in this international standard. Having the actual certificate rather than simply following the guidelines is an important distinction because it means the vendor has actually been audited by an independent body once a year to make sure the standards are being met. And you'll be pleased to know that we are one of these vendors. And we are also Cyber Essentials certified as well. So basically, you're in safe hands. So here we go, some stats here. So this is quite an alarming one. More than half of all employees are unhappy at work because of the software tools they're using. Have you ever become dissatisfied at work due to missing or mismatched software? And as you can see, there's a link at the bottom there And by the way, these stats have come from G2's 2019 State of Software Happiness Report. So feel free to click on that link and check out some more stats there as well. And again, another alarming stat. About 1 in every 8 employees has actually quit a job because of mismatched software. So yeah, it's quite alarming. So let's get you working with the tools that make you feel less frustrated and rather more empowered and productive when you do your job. And now time to explore what the enterprise software and who would use this edition. As soon as my sliding works, oh, bit of breakdown there. So here we go. So here on your screen, I've just jumped one there. So I had a bit of a lag there, bear with me. There we go. So who uses the Enterprise Edition? These can be organizations that have multiple departments, locations, shops and branches where the volunteers are managed separately and the admins can only see, communicate and manage their own specific volunteers. So some of these organisations can be, as you can see on the screen, things like boroughs, councils, libraries, hospitals, chapter organisations, schools, and plenty more, you know, where it's hospices and so on. And there we go. So here on your screen are just some of our current Better Impact members using our Enterprise Edition software. As we are a global organisation, you can see some of our members here in the UK, as well as some others across, you know, North America and Australia. Some big names there, as you can see on your screen, you know, Shelter, who are here, Natural History Museum, the NHS, Sense, Rennie Grove Hospice Care, and some others. Like I say, we're a global organisation. Okay, next slide. So to begin with, in order to explain and showcase what the Enterprise Edition software looks like, we first have to identify and understand the Standard Edition. In order to do this, I just want you to focus on this diagram here on the screen. Okay, this person or people in this circle, they're you. They represent the administrators, and below you is the team of volunteers that you manage. So as you log in to your account, you can see your volunteer database. You can interact, communicate, and manage this group below you. You have unlimited admins, so you can add. You have unlimited admins you can add at your disposal. However, all admins can see all volunteer profiles. Okay, and also just to point out that this is our most common edition, which is ideal for single location department type organizations as well. However, if we're talking about an organization that has different locations or branches where the volunteers need to be managed separately, then the standard edition could be problematic. And one of these challenges could be, like, let's say, for example, communications. So if you want to send a quick email out to all your volunteers in a standard account, then all volunteers in all your departments will receive that message, which may lead to some miscommunication or confusion. Another example could well be that your admins can see all volunteer profiles across the whole structure of your organization, but they don't need to access all your volunteer profiles, which may lead to, let's say, GDPR issues at some point further down the line. So just bear this diagram in mind of you and your team that manage this, as the next slide will show you the bigger picture of what an enterprise environment looks like. There we go. So, yep, here we go. So the Enterprise Edition, where we are now part of a larger organization. If we take that image of you and your volunteers from the last slide, and just imagine that you are this fire department, just here, in which you are now called a sub-account. within this enterprise among many other sub-accounts. So as I log in, I can only see my fire department volunteers. So if I want to send an email to all my volunteers, it's only going to those in my sub-account, that fire department. So no one else from the other sub-accounts like, the police or the libraries will receive these emails. I can't even see or access them other sub-accounts. Only at the top level here, if you can see my cursor, there we go. So only at the top level here, which we call the enterprise administrators, can I access all profiles and manage these sub-accounts below. As an enterprise administrator, I can also create templates, custom fields, activities, qualifications, which I can filter down for these sub-accounts to use, along with branding. So I'm creating this standardization across the umbrella of the organization, across different from different or multiple sub accounts, and I'll be able to report across all these different departments and regions as well. And something I just want to point out as well, these grey teams here, let's say in the middle tier, these are what we call regions. So this is only applicable and available with our plus feature. And it's basically where you can group sub accounts together and you can report on these groups as well. And just like the standard, you have unlimited admins, enterprise and sub account level as well. Another good example I like to use when showing standard versus the enterprise is think of these sub accounts as separate standard accounts. However, you do have this enterprise, central head office above you. So each sub account has their own application forms and can even create different branding in each of these departments or locations as well. And depending on your structure, you may also wish to have a standalone sub account used as an application intake, where the screening process can be managed and monitored at enterprise level before that applicant is moved to their relevant department for the admin of that account to then continue managing their screening process. Something I just wanted to point out as well at this stage, before we move on to the demo, that if you're feeling like the Enterprise Edition isn't the right version for you and you feel more structured around a standard edition, then I definitely recommend, sticking around still, as you'll learn the awesome features that Volunteer Impact offers, as only some of the functionality I'll share will be focused on the enterprise as well. And just to let you know, there's not one version that's better than the other. It's just a case of which one best fits your needs for you and your organization as well. And after that, I will now do a quick high-level demo of the enterprise software. Now, I've logged in as an administrator, but as you can see, I have this enterprise account level here, and I have access to a couple of sub accounts. So, for example, if I was standard edition admin, I'll log in with my credentials. I'm going to go straight into my account. But as an enterprise level administrator, depending on what you have access to, you'll have this selection here. So we're going to go on to the example city. This is my enterprise level account. I'm going to click on here. It's going to bring me to the enterprise level dashboard. Okay. So as you can see here, there's a quick status update on applicants and in process. We've got some main icons that we're going to focus on today. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump straight in to the advertising, the onboarding recruitment process as well. So something you'll be able to do within the enterprise and the standard edition is create something what we call a public page, which is kind of like your advertising landing page, where you can advertise, your activities, your general interests. You can have a social media feed. It's all branded by you, and you just create a link for this to add this to your website, which could look something like this. So there's your branding at the top. So this is our obviously demo example city account. So you'll have your branding at the top there. This is what we call a banner. You can add a news feed. And again, this will be in obviously this will be showcased on your website. There's some featured activities you can place, and you can add some mission statements there as well, along with a social media feed there, which is backed up by Facebook and Twitter, which is now known as X. But being an enterprise, something you can do is create kind of like we call them classifications. So they're kind of like where you can basically find what you want to volunteer for based on keywords. So think of it as like, you know, you go on eBay, for example, and you want to look for, I don't know, a new top. You're going to filter it down by size, color, condition, for example. Exact same kind of method here as well. So, for example, if I'm interested in example City Museum, these represent your sub accounts. But here you can see we've got other different kind of classifications, you know, areas of interest, type of task, you know, how often, how long, your availability. So basically the applicant dash volunteer can literally simply just select what is unique to them via these keywords. Now, if I want to apply, let's say I go to the example City Museum. It's going to take me through a two-step process in order to apply and volunteer with your organisation. So first of all, as an applicant, the first thing I need to do before I go to your application forms is register myself with a what we call a My Impacts page account. So the My Impacts page account is the volunteers' own login portal, it's their own profile where they can, you know, update their personal information. They can assign themselves up for any activities that you would have created. They can see this in a list or a calendar format. They'll be able to log their hours and any feedback fields required as well. And I forgot to mention, this is also app-based. The My Impacts page is app-based. So your volunteers can download this for free on any Android or iPhone device and use it on the go. So yeah, just like most things online, I just need to register before I go to your application form with the My Impacts page account. I just need to create a username, email address. I just need to put in my actual address as well as mandatory fields. Then I've created that account. It could be that I am already using Better Impact. I've volunteered with another organisation that's used Better Impact. I haven't got to create another one. I'll just log in again with my credentials, and then I'll go through to your application form, which could look something like this. Again, all this, by the way, is all branded by your organisation. So your banner will be at the top here. There's a general availability chart, so I can see and pick when I'm available. You know, if I'm available Wednesdays, Thursdays, maybe Saturday afternoons. These are what we call general interests. So they're the fields of interest that applicants and volunteers are interested in. So this could be things like guest services, tour guides. I forgot to mention that this demo account is based upon a museum as well. I'll add in my qualifications. I'm comfortably can lift 20 pounds. I do have a driver's license. You can even add expiry dates to qualifications as well. This is great for auditing purposes. And then we've got an about you, an additional info, which is what we call the custom fields. So custom fields are like your, I like to call them your customized data collecting questions. So you've got unlimited custom fields at your disposal, and you can create as many as you like just to collect that data from your applicants and volunteers. You can even put them into categories, as you can see here. So we've got an about you section. You know, how did you first hear about us? When would you be available to begin volunteering? You can manipulate what type of answers you want with custom fields as well. These could be things like short text boxes. They could be drop-down menus. They could be date fields. They can be check boxes, and they can also be file uploads as well. So if you do need to gather something like a CV, proof of ID upon an application, choose a file upload. That'll give the applicant the opportunity to download a file. And when they've completed your application, oh, by the way, you can make some of these mandatory as well. So if you do need some fields, as you see, we've got references, emergency contact information. If you do need some of these to be mandatory, you can select them. And then once the applicant submitted it, when they completed it, they'll submit their application there. And they're going to land in your Better Impact account automatically. Okay, so going back to the dashboard. So again, we're back on the admin dashboard. I'm now going to show you what a volunteer profile looks like. So in this top right search bar here, all you need to do, select a little person icon, click there. Now I'm going to type in Veronica. She's one of our demo volunteers. As soon as you start typing a name, the system will match to what you're typing. So you ain't got to put a full name in all the time. There we go, Veronica Smith. Click on Veronica, and this is the volunteer profile. So when someone has filled in and submitted an application form, it automatically creates that profile, and all that information that they've submitted on their application will all be stored on their profile as well. So here we go, just giving you an insight. So as you can see, you can upload a profile picture of the volunteer. The volunteer will also be able to do this from their My Impacts page, and I'll show that a bit later on. There's all of Veronica's contact information. Now I'm on the main tab, but under here, we've got some sub tabs, so custom fields, her general availability. So you can see Veronica's available quite a big substantial amount of the week, and her qualifications. Now these tabs at the top, I can communicate with just Veronica. I can send her an email. I can send her a text message. I can even send her, and you can do this by these sub tabs, by the way. I can even send her, I can even do a note log on this volunteer as well. So if you need to put any notes towards any volunteer, you do so here, note log. It's only for admin eyes only, so the volunteer will not see, if you want to put something, disciplinary records or anything like that on a note log, it can be stored here, and it'll be logged as a note log history under there by the entry, date created, and by which administrator as well. I can see her schedule. Something I forgot to mention as well, when someone does apply and they land into your account, you haven't just got to depend on them filling in your application forms. You can add volunteers manually yourself as well. Just again, just create them a username and a password, fill in their address, and you create them. You can add them in manually. And even if they are using the My Impacts page or not, you can pretty much do everything on a volunteer's behalf. You can assign them up to shifts. You can log their hours and feedback fields as well. You could do that in individually or bulk as well. So yep, I can see Veronica's schedule. Sorry, let me do a report. There we go. So I can see a calendar view of Veronica's upcoming shifts that she's assigned to. I can even email this or even print it off and send it to Veronica if she wants something, she doesn't use the computer as much. She wants something tangible by hand. She wants to put it on a fridge. I can do that as well. Now, if we go to organizations, now don't forget, we are at the enterprise level still here as well. So I can see let's say the sub account that Veronica's associated with. So there we go. Again, these are in regions, which is only applicable if you have the plus feature. But you can see Veronica is a volunteer of Example City Museum. But if Veronica's come forward to me and just to let me know that, she's now, she's interested in animals, I can move her to the Example City Animal Services if that's what she wants as well. And yeah, so that's a little bit about the volunteer profile. Being an enterprise level administrator as well, you'll be able to create templates, whether they're activity templates, custom field templates, qualification templates as well. So if I click on this cog icon here, any of these icons I click on, by the way, brings up all the subcategories here on the left-hand side. So yeah, so if I want to create some custom fields, there we go, custom fields on the left-hand side, I can create these. So basically, again, you're creating that standardization. So you're going to use these custom fields, these activities, these qualifications, and filter them down for them sub-accounts to use. You can make them mandatory so they're there on the application forms. Again, creating that standardization. When you want to create a new custom field, a new qualification, you just hover over this little green box here to create them. And again, you can put them into categories as well. I forgot to mention as well, with qualifications and custom fields, you can add permissions on these as well. As you can see here, down this kind of bar here, that you've got 4 permission settings. You've got read, write with approval, read, write without approval. You've got read only and private, which is great for like EDI sensitive information, which is again only admin eyes can see that as well. Qualifications, and again you create them, and if you want to filter them down for the sub accounts to use, you can do that as well. Something that's really useful being an enterprise administrator is you've got more extensive reporting at this level than you would if you was just an administrator in a sub account. So this icon here, this is your reporting icon. So if I click on here, there we go, all the different subcategories on the left-hand side that I can report on. And don't forget, at this moment in time, I am an enterprise administrator, so I can pretty much report on all sub-accounts, all volunteers as well. So let's say, for example, I want to pull a report on hours by volunteer. So if I click on that, it's good to know that I can report over any date period as well. I can make this custom, just putting in date range there. But let's say I want to report over last year, for example. Click on last year, view report. And what this has brought up is a whole report of hours logged by each volunteer, with the volunteer at the top with the most hours, with the volunteer with the least at the bottom. And again, this is over all them sub-accounts. This is not just one particular sub-account. And then right at the bottom, it gives me total hours, number of volunteers, and average per volunteer. And what's great about this reporting suite is that I'll be able to export this information out to Excel and CSV as well. They don't all just come in like chart forms as well. You've got some bar graphs. So for hour trend, for example. Again, you can go over any kind of date period. And there we go. So number of volunteers, hours volunteered, average per volunteer. So again, focusing on the hours trend there. So if I was an admin in a sub account, and I'll show you this a bit later on, I will only be able to report on my volunteers in my sub account. I won't have access to any other information or data across any other of the sub accounts. Something that's a really cool feature in reporting is the personal profile raw data as well. So what this basically means is that I can pick and choose and make up my own bespoke reports as well. So by default, it will have the first and last name, but then I could just pick and choose what I like to put a report on. So there we've got obviously basic columns, contact information, demographics. There's the custom fields. So these will all be your custom fields that you're made up that you can pick and choose what you like to report on. I'm just gonna pick some random ones here. Some qualifications, Monday through to Thursday for availability. All you need though is press view profiles, and it brings up this whole report. There we go. So obviously it's a lot of dummy information, and all you need to do is scroll across to see that information. Obviously there's loads of fields I've just left out, but I think hopefully you get the gist of it. And then again, you can export this if you need to. So you can export this again to CSV or Excel if you do need to bring that data and that information out of Better Impact as well. Being that you're at the enterprise level as well, you have this little kind of accounts symbol. It's kind of like, looks like a little shed, a little hut. Click on here and just give you an example. You can see all volunteer statuses across all your sub accounts. So again, here on the left hand side, volunteer statuses. There we go. So there's 5 statuses, main statuses, let's say in total. Applicant, in process, accepted, inactive, and archived. Okay, and you'll see this more when we go down to sub-account level. And again, you can see, and again, you can export this information to CSV or Excel. And again, if you have regions, if you have the Enterprise Plus feature, these will be put into your relevant regions that you want to do. But if not, if you haven't got regions, they'll just be the organizations, let's say not in a region. All right, so further ado, because I know we're short on time, I'm going to now go down to the sub-account level. Okay, so I can use these little arrows here in this search bar. If I click on that, now I have access to these ones below. So I have access to the example city application intake, but I'll also, being an enterprise administrator, I'll also have access to the example city museum, and that's the one we're going to go to. So if I click on here, so here we go. So now I'm in a sub account of an enterprise edition. Now, if you was a standard edition administrator, this would look exactly the same. I just have access to this account, nothing else. If I'm an enterprise administrator with sub-account access, this would represent not a standard, but a sub-account within that whole enterprise. So this is your dashboard. And as you see, we have some statuses. So as I mentioned, if someone has applied through your application form, they will land here as an applicant, and they will sit there until you determine where they go next, depending on your screening process. You then have the in-process status, which are applicants that, you know, you're just finalizing some permissions, whether it's to approve or reject a qualification or a custom field. And it's good that it does separate them from applicants, so it just makes that management a little bit more easier. You then got your accepted. So these are all your current active volunteers. We then got the inactive status, which is, I like to call the leave of absence status. So these are all volunteers that, you know, are having a break from volunteering. This could be medical, maternity leave, just having a holiday, but at some point will return back to your program. And you can manipulate there, as you can see on the screen, whether it's going to be short or long term. And then you have archived. So these are all volunteers that, you know, moved on, resigned, dismissed, or even maybe rejected through the screening process. You can mark them as archived. And just for billing purposes as well, it's good to know that we only do invoice you per our subscription for accepted and inactive volunteers. So you won't get billed for anyone sitting in the archived or going through the screening process as well. And then, as you can see here in this, just underneath the status box, there is some system alerts as well. So it will flag up, again, depending on them permission settings that you have on custom fields and qualifications. If they're with approval, they will flag up here, custom field approvals or qualification approvals. So you as an admin can just go through, you know, reject or accept them approvals as well. And as I mentioned at the start, you can add expiry dates to qualifications. When they are due to expire soon, they will flag up here, and this is great for auditing purposes as well. So when they're expiring, you see there's 42. If you just click on that, it brings down that list of 42 expiring qualifications with the relevant volunteer. So it'll just prompt you as an admin to reach out to that particular volunteer to get them to renew that qualification if they haven't done so already. And hopefully they don't land into this bracket of expired qualifications, which, as you know, may not make them eligible now for the role they're already, contributing towards as well. There are some other system alerts, birthdays. You'll get birthdays alerts. So if you want to, anyone that has a birthday upcoming, you want to send her an email or a text message, you can do so. And the same with anniversaries as well. And don't forget, I'm now in a sub account, so I can only see my volunteers as in the sub account administrator within this is what we call the Example City Museum. Okay. On this dashboard, we have some pin searches. I'm going to come back to this shortly as well, because this is a really cool feature as well. And again, we've got these main icons at the top. So again, we've got the reporting, but now I'm a sub account administrator. I can only report on my volunteers in my sub account. Unlike what I showed you at enterprise level, it's only going to be for my volunteers only. But what we're going to do, we've got the people search. So, oh, by the way, if ever you want to always go back to the dashboard, you can always click on this house symbol here. It takes you back to this page we're looking at now. But what we're going to do, we're going to click on the people search. So as I mentioned, you can add volunteers manually. If you do so, you'll just click on this people. There we go. You can add a volunteer. You can add an admin as well. We don't charge for admins. You can have as many admins. It's unlimited at your disposal to add to the software. Give them a temporary, and the same with the volunteers, give them a temporary username and password, and they'll be able to reset that when they next log in. But let's say, for example, you would like to do a quick search on a group of volunteers. Okay, so I'm just going to hit this search. If you can see that on the left-hand side, click search. Now it brings me to this screen where I can kind of filter of what kind of status I'd like to search on. So I'm just going to choose all my accepted volunteers. Now I can just press search and it'll bring up the list of all my accepted volunteers. However, if I want to do or add a search criteria, I want to filter that down, I want to add a granular to that, I can just press here. Let's say I want to filter down all my accepted volunteers based on qualifications. I'll click here. Now, all your qualifications will pop up here. These are the ones we've got. So let's say background check or DBS check. So all my volunteers is equal to as passed. We'll just ignore the expiry date for now. Add and go. There we go. 224 people were found that all have an accepted, that are the accepted status that has a DBS background check that's passed. Now, if I want to save that just for my own relevance, I can just press save. Give it a name, volunteers DBS checked. Now, what I'll do is I want to check that box that says pin search and then save. And now what I've done is I've now created a pin search, basically a shortcut. And this is unique to every administrator that will be added here. I'm going to show you another example of this as well through the communications icon. So this megaphone icon, this is our communications beacon, let's say. So I click on here. There's three main methods of communication within the software. That's email, text, and you can do a mail out. You can do this in mass, filtered groups, or to individuals just by going to their profile. But if we want to send an email, just click on send email from the left-hand side. Again, choose your status, accepted. If I press search, it's just going to bring up all my accepted volunteers. Actually, I will show you this. There we go. There's all the list of all my accepted volunteers. Don't forget, I've not put any filter down on this, but what we have is a really cool feature that you can use email templates. So if there's a frequent email you'll always use, where we use it weekly, a reminder for all volunteers to log their hours, where it's monthly newsletters, You can do this, create the template, save it, and it's saved here. And I'm going to show you an example. So let's say it was a monthly newsletter. All your email templates would be saved here. You just choose the one. And there we go. You can add images, attachments, links into emails. You can add a first name and last name placeholder. So when the recipient receives that email, it's going to say like, hi, Mary, hi, Daniel, hi, John. Just makes that more personal. You've got some checkboxes here, you know, request a receipt of this email is read, send a copy of this. You can add a priority reading to this and then send email. Okay, and that will go out to all them 213 people. Now, again, if I wanted to add a search criteria, if I just had, let's say, a weekend job come up or activity, I want to reach out to all my volunteers that, you know, volunteer weekends only. So I actually want to go to general availability, check Saturday and Sunday, and then go, and there we go. And then you can repeat the process. You can either use an email template or use your own. And again, if this is a kind of group of volunteers that you frequently communicate with, you can save it, you know, weekends only, pin that search, save, and that will be applied as a pin search to your dashboard there. And again, only unique to you as an administrator. This updates in real time as well. So there we go, some I created earlier, weekend availability, volunteers with driving license. So if I created this 2 weeks ago, this weekend availability, and someone last week has joined with only weekend availability, that will automatically be added to that list. And again, if we go to this configuration icon, don't forget I'm still in that sub account of an enterprise or a standard edition. I can add my own custom fields, my own qualifications. You know, we've got things like badges. You can award badges for your volunteers for some sort of recognition and awards. This is where you create your activities as well. Again, you can create activities at the enterprise level as templates for you guys at sub account level to use, but you can create your own here along with feedback fields. We've got things like e-learning modules as well. You can create for online learning contents for your volunteers to take. They'll be able to take that from their My Impacts page. And there's also a document library as well. So you can store things like volunteer policies, waiver forms. You can even share these with your volunteers. They'll be able to take these from their My Impacts page as well. Trying to fit in as much as I can within an hour. There's so much to take on, but hopefully that's enough of that information for you within a sub account. And as I mentioned, you know, if I click onto reports, similar kind of reports here I can pull on, but again, I'm only pulling reports on my volunteers within my sub account. I won't even have access to others, but I could, as an admin, I could have access to multiple or several accounts if needs be as well. So before we go back to the slides, I just want to show you quickly what the My Impacts page account looks like. So what we're looking at now is what we call the My Impacts page. So I've logged in, I'm Veronica. So if you remember that volunteer, we saw her profile, I've now logged in. This is the My Impacts page. So this is the account she would have created. Obviously, this is the desktop version, but as I mentioned, this is also app-based. But on here, even the My Impacts page, you'll be able to brand to your own organization. And from here, there we go. I can see the same profile picture. I can upload myself as a volunteer. I can see my upcoming shifts on my dashboard. I can see my badges. I didn't go into too much detail, but you can award badges to your volunteers. If they have them, they'll be displayed here. There's a image gallery, which is backed up by Flickr feed. It's a bit old school, but it is there at your disposal. There's the social media feeds again. Now there's a personal message, which you can send to Veronica within the sub account. If you send Veronica a personal message, just by going to her profile, you know, if you just want to thank her for coming in at lastminute.com to help out an activity, it will be displayed here and only Veronica will see that. There's a news feed as well. This is displayed to all volunteers who log into their My Impact page. So this is a separate news feed to the one you would have created on your public page as well. And there's your mission statement as well about us. If you remember me saying about the document library, if you do share any documents with your volunteers, they'll have access to them files here in the bottom right. And then back up to the top, I can see, don't forget, I'm Veronica. I'll be able to see my opportunities that I'd like to sign up for, either in a calendar or a list format. I'll just show you the calendar format. To me, it's a little bit easier on the eye. And there we go. So these are all the activities taking place. So if I want to sign up on Tuesday the 12th for a tour guide, there's all the information. You would have put all this information in when you create the activity. I can sign up there and I'm assigned. I can see my own schedule. So I can see this in a list format. So these are all my upcoming shifts that I've put myself forward for. I can see this in a calendar format. So a lot of similar information we would have seen from the volunteer profile on the admin portal. And again, if I want to download this and print it off and put it in my fridge, I can do so. Now, this tab, the hours tab, is where I log my hours. Okay, so I've just come back from an activity. Let's say it was the information booth attendant. I logged the date. I volunteered along with the hours. 3 hours. Now, if I've associated a feedback field, which you'll be able to create in the configuration suite of the software, it'll prompt me to relay any feedback fields when I log my hours. So you've got things like short text boxes, number fields, and drop-down menus as well. And then save. That automatically log, and this will automatically feed back into your admin account as well for you to report on if needs be. I could do some quick reports on just myself, if I want to see, there's my hours I've contributed over the past year. Hover over the month to see which hours or how many hours I've contributed towards over each month. If I need to reach out to one of you guys as an admin, I just pick and choose here, put a message and send that email, and it's going to go out to the administrator. And my profile, this is where I can see my contact information, additional info, qualifications, training. So these are the e-learning modules that you would have created. Let's say training hand hygiene. So this is kind of what an e-learning module looks like, similar if you was to create one. Like I said, you can add GIFs, images, videos. So as you can see, this is we base this hand washing momentum based on COVID, the 30-second hand wash. You can add in as much information as you like, and then you can set like a little test or a quiz with pre-populated answers below, and you can set your own passing score as well. That's it. Hopefully you enjoyed the overview, high-level overview of Better Impact Enterprise Edition. But now I'm going to just focus on a little bit about Better Impact's story. So Better Impact started by fluke, actually. So our CEO, Tony's passion project of building a web-based volunteer management software solution for a residential hospice he founded actually birthed the beginnings of a We're Here to Help global company. We're 20 plus years old now. We're a small company, but we have a global impact. We have offices here in UK, Canada, USA, and Australia, but we have customers all over the globe. We specialise in volunteer management software, volunteer impact, which we've mainly been focusing on today, but we are also providers of donor, client, and member solutions that all integrate with volunteer impact. And lastly, yeah, we're here to help company.